This is Indianapolis, a city that is revered for its racing. But today, it's not the Indianapolis 500 that takes center stage. No, it's some of the rockinest, rollingest action you've ever seen inside of a race car. Get ready to hold on to your seats, folks. It's time to go figure-8 racing. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today from the Indianapolis Speedrome, it's the 17th annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. Hello everyone, I'm Mike King. Alongside me is Kevin O'Neill, and what a night of racing we have in store. A beautiful evening for it, temperature 78 degrees, winds out of the northwest, low humidity, partly cloudy, and Kevin, it's a perfect night for some banging. And that's what they'll do here at the Speedrome tonight.
This is the most intense, most unique American automobile race you will find. Not only is it a figure-8 race, it's a timed race. It's 3 hours of motorized madness around the 1/5 mile Indianapolis Speedrome. It's the 17th annual World Championship. The field has been set through qualifying races and through qualifying laps. And the 28 cars are set and ready to roll. Jack Dossey Jr. for the second year on the pole. Next to him, Charles Coles. Car salesman George Sutton and Rich Fenwick. Defending champion Dwayne Lee and brick mason Bruce Tunny. Then in row number 4, you've got Fred Bear Jr., Rodney Seismore, one of 3 family members in the starting lineup. Robert Amos in the 7 car. Doug Gregg builds cars in 33. Darren Sizemore's Rodney's brother next to R.J. Norton. In the 7th row, Dangerous Danny Turner and Ronnie Clance, a figure-8 winner. 8th row is Gary Bedell, the rookie, and Mike St. John, 3-time world champion. The 9th row is Curtis McMurtry and Kenny Sizemore, who is the father of the other 2 Sizemores who start. Curtis Murphy and Bill Tunny Jr., who is Bruce's brother. In the 11th row, Preston Maxwell and Leonard Basham, Jeffersonville champion and former world champion. Randy Cornwell, the best of the Michigan qualifiers. Eddie Deal was 4th in this race last year. Jerry Brown from Louisville, Bob Stute, 14-time ARCA champion. Dennis Wisman and Robbie Loving, the Michigan Playboy, make up the starting field.
14 rows will begin, but we'll see many more cars than that, many more than the 28, and we've got a green flag, Kevin.
And there is Dossi in that wonderfully engineered number 1 moving to the front. George Sutton comes out of the second turn of the first lap and moves to the second position, already around the number 71 of Charles Coles, as they come by that pit exit from which 60 alternates will be moving onto the track throughout the day. And already they're starting to move into crossover traffic. That's the hazard of figure-8 racing. The faster the leaders go, the quicker the traffic is there and the decisions that you have to make.
Kevin, is there in fact a strategy that these drivers employ when they get into the car, or is it more a case of just luck and timing as they come to the intersection?
It's a combination of daring and determination. You guess that you're going to be able to get through the intersection, you charge to the front, and you hope you're going to be able to make it, such as the number 4 of Bruce Tunny and the number 1 of Jack Dossey Jr., who again is getting close to that championship, but there's the guy that's trying to take it away from him, Dwayne Lee, who won the race last year, who's moving up to challenge Dossey, who has been a pole sitter, and now here's Fred Bear, a relative newcomer to figure-8 racing, leaning on the number 3 of Dwayne Lee in the second turn, moving toward Dossey and trying for the lead through the crossover.
A great battle as we go into turn number 1. They make the move around again, and still, Kevin, we have the field very tightly bunched.
And 3 abreast as they wait for traffic at the intersection, holding up Dossey just enough for Bear to move to the lead. And on the inside of that right-hand turn, there comes Tunny as they have to split around traffic. Dossey had to go around a slower car, and that increased Bear's lead over Dossey and the number 4 of Tunny.
Hard to believe that the physical endurance in this event would not just wear these drivers down. We're talking about 3 hours of left and right turns the entire time, aside from the mental strain of trying to avoid the other cars.
It used to be an endurance race. Now it has turned into a 3-hour sprint as Bruce Tunny becomes the 3rd leader of this race. He moves to the front ahead of Dossey. Then you've got Bear and Dwayne Lee, and not that far behind them, you've got the car of Rich Fenwick and George Sutton. 6 cars battling for the lead in the early stages of the World Championship, and the crossover traffic is starting to get fierce.
Kevin, at what point will these drivers begin hitting that brake pedal just a bit? We have not seen an awful lot of braking to this point.
Every time they go through the intersection, they've got to make the decision. You're going to see the traffic get almost unbearable as they get through the intersection phase of this race. Here they come to the intersection already, and they almost get into some cars that are there. They're going to have to make some big decisions here momentarily. Do they go through the intersection at full throttle and survive, or do they hold up? That time they had to hesitate, and that puts Tunny back in the lead.
Tunny with a great move that time. It looks like the one car of Jack Dossey enjoys trying to squeeze that inside groove as much as possible, but that time he was just hung up in the intersection.
But there are two inside grooves, left-hand turns and right-hand turns here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. As they come through the intersection, and they almost got into another car there. It's going to be that way, and there is a crash. That's the number 32 of Preston Maxwell and Bob Stewart, the ARCA champion that got into it at the crossover. Maxwell is moving off the track with some damage. I think they could get that car fixed, but we're still under green.
Hard to believe that at this point that is the only collision we've seen. We have been green flagged since the beginning. We have not seen a yellow as of yet.
And as we see Tunny leading off of the second corner, let's look at it again. Stewart in the yellow car, Maxwell in the white machine. They tried to occupy the same place at the same time. They just couldn't get the job done.
Kevin, just as you said, that intersection is going to be the key without a doubt this entire race. And as you can see there, cars whipping right through the middle. But the one car of Jack Dossey Jr. timing it just perfectly as he moves through the intersection.
And there's trouble, and he heel spun, and so did Tunny. That's Bruce Tunny in the number 4 car. Our indication is he had a flat tire, was trying to slow down and get in, and he was caught up there with the number 27 deal. He actually got rear-ended by the Michigan driver, Randy Cronenbud. He's got some damage on the front. He'll get his car to the pit area, make repairs, and come back out to join the race as Bruce Tunny is lobbying for a yellow flag, and he's going to get it.
So we've got the yellow flag, and the yellow light is on. We'll be back with more of the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. When we come back, Jack Dossey is your leader. Back at the Indianapolis Speedrome, the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. Mike King and Kevin O'Neill along with you. And Kevin, so far, not a lot of collisions. We've seen only one yellow flag, but we're just about ready to go back to green flag racing.
And the night is still young as we restart the contest with Dossey leading in the number 1. There's Bear in 14, the number 7 of Sutton, the number 3 of Dwayne Lee. Those drivers have moved to the front in a hurry, and not that far behind them, you've got the number 4R of Rodney Seismore. In his first World Championship race last year, he finished in second. He's at the front of the field already as Dossey still has to watch for the cars in the intersection. We're starting to add alternates to the field, and the more cars that move out, they'll start to move up. There's the number 6 of Bill Tunny Jr. He's the brother of Bruce Tunny, who dropped out of that crash not that far ago. Bruce Tunny is out, but his brother Bill, also a brick mason, is trying to move to the front.
Bill Tunny Jr. from Fairland, Indiana, who started 21st, and as you said, making his way up, and we've got to spin.
That's Jerry Brown out of Louisville. He got clipped by the number 12 of Eddie Van Meter going through the third turn. They'll keep going. We'll stay under green as Dossey continues to fight off Bear and Dwayne Lee. And there's the crossover traffic. 6 cars stopped at the intersection. The leaders just barely managed to get through.
An absolute dead stop there in the middle, and I would imagine at this point, Kevin, this is where the nerve really takes over.
We started 28 cars. So far, we've had 14 alternates, drivers that didn't get into the top 28 through qualifying times or qualifying heats have moved on to the tracks. We've had over 40 cars eligible to run in this race, so there's still 50 or so waiting in the infield and in the pit area waiting to come on as the leaders again have to watch for that traffic at the intersection. And there's a car getting clipped. That's the number 42 of Tony Anderson that clipped R.J. Norton at the number 69. You talk about scoring nightmares. There are 4 cars number 69 in this race.
I was going to say, I'm not sure how many folks we've got up in the booth scoring this one, but by the time this race is over, it's going to take a bunch of hands to keep track of all the cars we will have on the track. Some super action out front.
And once again, as we watch the car, Bill Tunny Jr. try to move to the front. Watch the upper right-hand corner. Here come the leaders. They're looking for someplace to go to the intersection. Dossey hesitated a bit at the crossover. That allows Dwayne Lee to get inside position with the right-hand turns number 1 and 2 and go to the lead. But Dossey will stay with them as they go around the stopped car of Coles in the intersection. As the left-hand turns 3 and 4, Dossey's got inside position and goes to the lead.
Dwayne Lee currently running in second place. Once again, keep your eye on the 6 car as well of Bill Tunny Jr. As we said, he started 21st, Kevin, but has already made his way up through the pack and is trying to contend for the lead.
And here he is working with the number 1 of Dossey as they're starting to battle up in front. This is a fight for the lead. Tunny has picked his time. He is trying to find the best way to get through there. And as he goes into the first and second turns of this lap, as we're still early in the race, there goes Tunny into the lead and charging to the intersection through a tiny gap. Almost got caught by the number 80 of Ronnie Clance.
Super timing as Tunny makes his way into the lead and makes his way through the intersection unscathed. Once again, as he weaves through 3 cars, I tell you what, Bill Tunny Jr., some great driving as he encounters lap traffic.
And again, the cars almost stop in front of him. He goes way off to one side, and he almost got into the number 5 of Mike St. John, the 3-time champion who was one of the starters in this race. He's on the lead lap. St. John is taking his time and coming to the front, and again, St. John and Tunny almost meet at the crossover.
A big pack of traffic as they head through back to the intersection, and here they come on the outside. You see that Lee is the leader, but Dossey once again contends. They go 3 wide through turn 1.
This is a battle for second place. Tunny has picked up and has started to storm away from these drivers as they almost get into Robbie Loving. The Michigan Playboy almost caused a 10-car crash in the intersection.
Kevin, I've got to ask, what is it that officials will determine that will bring out a yellow in this event? Because we see a lot of cars that spin. Sometimes we even see a car that will stop, and yet we do not see the yellow flag.
A car has to stop at a dangerous place. It has to catch on fire. It has to block the track. Otherwise, it's clean going all the way through. As long as there's room to get through, and sometimes there isn't much. Even Leonard Basham, the world champion from 1988, had to stop for the traffic there at the intersection as it starts to get crazy.
Literally, you see cars coming to a dead stop on the track while others whiz past at speed. And there you see the number 6 car. That is Bill Tunny Jr., a great ride so far.
And Mike St. John, the former champion, got caught up there in the traffic as well. He had to almost stop the number 5 car, but Tunny manages to pick a way through there. Bear's in trouble. That's Fred Bear Jr., the 14. He spun coming out of the second turn, and now a crash between Robert Amos in the car number 7A and George Sutton, one of the top runners in his number 7. Amos pulls away even though he got hit in the axle, but Sutton's car is on fire.
Yeah, that is the 7A car. That is, the 7 cars you said of George Sutton. He is from here in Indianapolis. He's got the belts loosened. He's going to climb out of the car. So, Kevin, he's okay, but certainly that is one of the situations that you said would bring out the yellow flag. The safety crew very quickly on top of it. Here's the replay.
And look at that one. Sutton got into the rear axle of Amos's car as they came through the intersection. Amos, even though he got that hit on the wheel, was able to pull away, but something happened to Sutton's car inside and maybe have knocked the fuel pump off. The car's on fire, and he's out of the car unhurt, but the car's out of the race.
Now, he has an opportunity to take that car back if he needs to repair it. Is that correct?
That's true, but our indications from the pit area is that that car's damaged too badly to resume. But that means that there are still dozens of additional alternates to move onto the track. And there's Mike St. John. Just a couple of seconds ago, we saw him about a half lap down, almost getting hit by the leaders of the intersection. Now the number 5 of St. John is in hot pursuit of Tunny, the leader with the number 6, and behind him the number 1 of Dossey. These are the drivers that are going for the lead, and it's still early in the World Championship race.
Keep in mind, once again, that this is an endurance event. 3 hours of racing, and Kevin, that certainly plays into the strategy that the front runners will use.
And there's Tunny getting through the intersection. Traffic blocks everybody else, and St. John got hit by Fred Bear coming through the crossover. St. John's in trouble. He stalled, and now even more trouble over in turn number 3 as the former champion Leonard Basham got clipped by another car, and everybody else had to stop. It's a parking lot in turn number 3.
Boy, look at that jam up there, and the yellow flag will come out once again. So we're going to sort it all out. We take a look at the replay, and you can see why we're going to have to stop the action for just a couple of minutes. The 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Speedrome, the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. Mike King and Kevin O'Neill. And Kevin, we're back to green flag action.
As we watch Bill Tunny Jr. in the lead in the number 6, trying to get through that intensely heavy traffic. Again, cars all over the place as you see the number 14 of Bear hitting another machine and spinning it out. That's going to happen all night as Tunny has to come through that traffic 2 and 3 abreast ahead of the leader every way through. And there's Pat Pierce, the Louisville champion, running over another car and running into Bob Stute, the Michigan champion. A third machine in there, Ray the Animal Gaddis out of Michigan, got caught up there with the car of Bob Stute, and Pat Pierce, the Louisville champion, had no place to go.
So we've got a car stalled. Let's take a look at the replay, and Kevin, exactly what happened here.
There's Gaddis slowing down to keep from hitting Stute, and Pierce, who was on Gaddis's inside coming out of the right-hand corner, just ran over, but everybody managed to get out of the way, and we're back under green.
That man was lucky to avoid the incident, as well as Bill Tunny Jr. able to cut to the inside and barely avoid the two-car collision.
And Tunny has the lead, but it's not by much, maybe 8 car lengths over Dwayne Lee. Currently, he's also trying to stay ahead of the number 4R Rodney Seismore and Jack Dossey Jr. as all those leaders cut through that intersection, finding tiny gaps. The impressive one is Tunny, the Rick Mason in the number 6. There he goes through tiny gaps. Now you know why they call Tunny the man with no fear.
Able to pick up just a little bit more room as he stretches out the lead. We'll look at action as they move through turn number 3.
And there's Tunny trying to cut through the inside of turn number 1. Can't do it. Dave Lambert in the 08 car got in there, along with Jerry Vanderhoof. And now there's a crash at the intersection. 2 crashes. The number 12 of Eddie Van Meter got into a machine, and Jerry Moore got rear-ended hard coming through the crossover.
So you see the car sitting there. There's the 12 car of Eddie Van Meter, who's sitting there still, and we have not seen the yellow flag yet. We do have a track official coming out. Once again, as Kevin told us earlier, the yellow flag will not come out unless the car is sitting in a precarious, dangerous situation on the track, but now we do see the yellow, Kevin.
And there were actually 2 or 3 crashes there. First off, here's Tunny trying to go to the inside, gets pinched by Vanderhoof in 93 in the number 08 of Lambert. And then at the intersection, the number 20 of Jerry Moore got rear-ended and got hit by a couple of cars as well, and that brings us down to caution.
So we are under a yellow flag. We have had great action so far. We're at the Indianapolis Speedrome. It's the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. We'll be back. Back at the Speedrome in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's the 17th annual running of the World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. I'm Mike King, alongside me Kevin O'Neill. And Kevin, Jack Dossey is your leader as we go back to green flag action.
Dossey moves into first place. Right behind Dossey is the number 5 of Mike St. John. A few minutes ago, we saw St. John up in the lead, but we also saw him colliding with Fred Bear's car at the crossover. That has now put St. John 2 laps down, and he's trying to unlap himself a couple of times. The guy that's trying to work into the lead now behind Dossey, the number 1, is the yellow and red number 4R Rodney Seismore in 3 abreast traffic.
Keep in mind that the field continues to grow as the race goes on. We started with 14 rows of 2, but now we've been trying to count, really not sure how many cars we have on the track right now. But Kevin, before it's over, we could have in excess of 70 cars out there at once.
And there's one car that won't be out there for a while. David Bussey has the thrill of victory turn into the agony of defeat. And there's the number 24 of Kevin Ford going for a spin, gets the car going again. No harm, no foul, just keeps on rolling. Up in front, there's Dossey trying to make his move past the traffic as he moves around Amos. Remember Amos, he got hit by Sutton. He's just out there rolling again. They just fix the car and bring it back onto the track. And almost gets smashed by the number 10 of Gary Bedell. Somehow, Dossey avoided that disaster and keeps on going.
Jack Dossey, the number 1 qualifier for this event, and we have some problems up in turn number 1. Kevin, 3-4 cars up against the wall.
Well, there's Robbie Loving trying to back out of the way, along with the number 83 of Country Brown. There goes Tom Wagner in the 57 driving away, along with another machine. Everything's okay. It looks as if the number 52 of Dave Lewis will be able to go. Oh, no. He was pulling away, and he got rear-ended by the number 71 of Charles Coles. Coles was the second fastest qualifier for this event, and he's already been in a couple of crashes. Oh, he's going to be able to get the car going. Maybe he can put together that part of the car and get it going again.
Yeah, the left front is definitely flat there, though, Kevin, so I guess he'll limp back to the pits.
No problems with Dossey at all as he moves to the outside of traffic, looks for someplace to go. The intersection, hesitates, then gets back on the throttle as he tries to sneak beneath alternate Alan Oberding. We've had something in the range of 25 or 30 alternates added to the 28 cars that started this race.
Once again, as we said, Dossey, Jack Dossey Jr. from Indianapolis. He is the number 1 qualifier. He set a new track record, Kevin, with a time of 16.716 seconds.
We noticed Ken Algren out of Michigan. Again, there are 4 cars number 69 in this race, but we're watching cars number 1, Dossey, and the number 6 of Tunny. Tunny has now come back after his earlier altercation of 3 cars, looks to take the lead as Dossey almost runs into Ray the Animal Gaddis in the intersection. Tunny has the clear path, slides it in turn number 1, goes to the lead.
Once again, keep in mind that Tunny in car number 6 started this event in 21st position, so he has really done a job to get back up to the lead.
You notice cars are scattered there in the intersection into the infield. No trouble there. Now Dossey is clipped by the number 6 of Tunny as they try to get around another car at the crossover. Dossey keeps on going after he gets restarted, then Tunny's lead extends to about 1 turn. They were trying to get out of each other's way at the crossover. They just ran into each other.
Kevin, a great job there by Dossey as he stays on the gas. It could have been disaster, but instead he manages to keep the car moving.
Dossey has the car burning. You can see the machine smokes as he comes to the intersection. He's already on the throttle trying to control the spin and get the machine pointed in the right direction. And as they come to the intersection, again, it's a battle for the lead as Tunny's car goes high in turn number 1. Low side move, turn number 2. Dossey goes back into first place. Some cars have crashed into each other right in front of them. Algren in the number 69, the number 32 of Maxwell. And there's almost no place to go. The track was almost totally blocked. Dossey holds up for a moment, goes into the outside. Was he trying to give a message there to Tunny? I'm not sure, because they got to get back on the throttle as they go through the intersection, and they have to watch out for cars that are stopped and stalled. Looks like McIntyre, the number 31, slowed down for a while, and now getting rear-ended is the Ken Carpenter 66 by the number 3 of Raymond Johnson, and Carpenter crawls out of the way as will stay under green. Typical action in the World Championship as we get close to the halfway mark of the race.
A precarious spot to come to a stop. The number 66 car stopping dead in the middle of the intersection. You can see there are cars from both directions coming to dead standstills as they approach the intersection.
But that's just part of it. It's like driving downtown during rush hour. You've got to pick your way through the best way you can. Tunny leads in 6th. There's the number 1 of Dossey trying to go through. 3-car chain reaction, and then it's Ray the Animal Gaddis again in the number 779. And he got into the number 03 of Farr and pushed him into Maxwell. That brings out another caution. Gaddis is a good driver. He's finished in the top 3 in this race in the past, but he just sometimes bounces off of guys.
We take a look at the field as they roll past. We have once again the yellow flag out. We're ready to go back to the green flag. There it is. The green flag is back out, and we're back underway. And once again, look for the car up front. That's the number 1 car of Jack Dossey and Dwayne Lee out of Greenfield, Indiana.
Lee goes to the lead. He's the defending world champion of figure-8 racing. Won this race 1 year ago. His father is a member of the Indianapolis Speedrome Hall of Fame. Dossey in 2nd, Tunny in 3rd as they cut through traffic, and right behind them and trying to move up is the number 4R of Rodney Seismore as they work through the 2nd turn. So far, we've had 47 alternates added to the 28-car starting field. That means a lot of racing, a lot of action, and a lot of traffic to avoid. The leaders will find out just how much as they come out of the 4th turn. They slow down and stop. Look for someplace to go. Dwayne Lee almost got hit at the intersection by Bob Stoots, number 54. In an instant, Dwayne Lee goes from the lead to 4th place.
It can happen that quickly in figure-8 racing as we watch the cars head through the turn. And keep your eye, here are the leaders once again, keep your eye on the beautiful race car of Jack Dossey Jr. He has had a great run here tonight.
Dossey looks good, but trouble for the Bob Johnson number 3J. The driver got into trouble at the intersection and ended up crashing into the main stretch oval wall sideways. There's Johnson bouncing off Bob Brandenburg's car. spinning around. For a moment, looked like he might be able to get on the brakes, rear ends it hard, but still, he's on the racetrack and no caution at that particular point.
Johnson really backing it into the wall hard. He is here from Louisville, Kentucky, but as you said, he looks to be okay.
And again, the traffic gets intense as Tunny and Dossey go through turn number 1, 3, and 4. They're battling in heavy traffic as they try to get around Country Brown's machine. And now they find a gap between those cars. Again, it's like football. And now Dossey's in trouble. He gets clipped by another car, and he gets spun back to 4th place going to the first turn.
Once again, Dossey in trouble, as you said, and Dossey has had his problems tonight. That is his 3rd spin of the evening.
But still, he has managed to stay on the lead lap all the way through. And now Dossey is going to put the hammer down and try to get back up to the front of this field.
The action continues at times, Kevin. The line here, the groove absolutely becomes obliterated because of all the cars that have either stopped or stalled along the way. Drivers having to pick their way through the field and really readjust. And here we go right now, 2 cars getting together.
And one of them is the leader, Tunny, in the number 6, on top of Amos's number 7. A chain reaction deal where a couple of guys got together, and that put Amos into the path of Tunny. Tunny thought he had clear sailing, but when 2 other cars collided and sent Amos off to one side, Tunny ended up on top of him. But notice Tunny in the driver's uniform in front of his car. Amos is okay inside the machine. He's just waiting for the wreckers to pull those cars apart. But Tunny immediately jumped out of his machine, looked at the front end of his car. He thinks his car is not damaged that badly. He wants to get back into the World Championship.
Simply a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Here you take a look at it one more time as Tunny's car just simply jumps right up on top of the Amos car. And I tell you what, you would think that would put a car out of the race, but not in the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race at the Indianapolis Speedrome. More after this. Back at the Indianapolis Speedrome, you can see in the background the most overused piece of equipment here at the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. And Kevin, that's the welding equipment.
And every car has tasted that welder sometime during a long season of Figure-8 racing. The driver that's been benefiting by all the other crashes and wrecks, Mike St. John. A couple of minutes ago, he was 2 laps down. Now, as he moved past the halfway mark of the race, he's up in the lead. And well away from this mess, Ronnie Clance, Figure-8 winner this year at the Speedrome of the number 80, and Mike Nelson, the number 56, have run into each other. Now they're trying to get out of each other's way. Coming through the intersection standard crash, only this time it was kind of a run into each other sideways sort of deal coming out of the second turn.
Looks like they've hooked some sheet metal there and going to have to be separated. They'll do that, and it looks like both cars will be able to continue without problem.
And as they continue, so does the battle for the lead. It's a new race that sees the number 5 of Mike St. John just ahead of Rodney Seismore, and Clance is doing it again. This time he's mounted the number 70 of Dennis Cherry coming through the intersection.
So Dennis Cherry sits underneath, looks up at the number 80 car, and Dennis, here it is on the replay.
And there's Cherry getting spun sideways. Clance hit him, not that hard, but he tried to drive out of the way, ended up driving over him instead. 2 crashes for Clance within about 1 minute, but again, that's Figure-8 racing.
Ronnie Clance was here from Mooresville, Indiana, and boy, some positive traction on the rear end of that car as he was able to not only scoot the car, the 70 car forward, but go right up and over it.
And there's Tunny coming back onto the racetrack. He took advantage of that caution to get those cars disengaged to make a pit stop and manages to stay on the racetrack and run for the front. We're getting set for the restart here, and this time it's going to be Rodney Seismore up in front as Tunny tries to get back to the front of the field. Of course, Tunny has already lost a lot of time with his earlier crash with the car of Robert Amos, so he's got a lot of room to try to make up. Now it's Rodney Seismore in the lead of the restart, but the ubiquitous Jack Dossey Jr., who's been toward the front of the field all the way through, is in pursuit, and with dozens of alternates having been unleashed on this World Championship, it's going to be heavy traffic from this point forward.
Rodney Seismore, no stranger to the Indianapolis Speedrome. He lives here in Indianapolis, and he is your leader.
But how long will be able to hold off the track champion in Jack Dossey Jr. and the defending world champion in Dwayne Lee? Seismore was in the lead of last year's race in the closing stages before he ran into a couple of cars in the intersection and fell out of the lead. This time, Dossey attacks to the inside of turn number 1, coming across the stripe, and Dossey gets a nose out in front of Seismore, consolidates the lead, and now there's Dwayne Lee trying to put Seismore back to third in turn number 3.
Some great side-by-side racing, but it's Dossey who takes advantage. So Jack Dossey Jr. from Indianapolis, he is back in front.
And look at that. Stop traffic at the intersection. It forced all of the leaders to go about 40 or 50 feet off to the left just to be able to get through the intersection, as they have to watch out for Gill's cars. They go to the intersection. They had to keep from running into the number 24 of Kevin Ford. Dossey holding on to the lead with the attack coming from the number 4 of Sizemore, the number 3 of Lee. Those drivers go off to one side. Dossey tries to find a gap. No, there's no place to go. He's totally blocked by the rest of that traffic there. Dossey trying to get out of the way of 3 machines, throws the car into reverse, now gets going again, but as the yellow comes out, that was the Dossey's disadvantage. He has fallen 1 lap down because of the blocked intersection. Again, Dossey comes out of the corner, tries to go to one side as Lee and Sizemore go to the other direction, gets blocked in, is trapped by 3 slower cars that were parked there, and Dossey has to use something you don't see very much in stock car racing, reverse gear.
Jack Dossey Jr. looking to thread the needle. It simply was not there, so he, as you said, will throw it in reverse, move around the problems, and will look to continue. We'll be back with more of the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race after this. It is a test of skill, of courage, and of luck. It's the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. Mike King and Kevin O'Neill with you here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. And Kevin, once again, the green is out.
And Dwayne Lee this time is in the lead. This is the same place where he was 1 year ago. Dwayne Lee, a former track champion, a former national figure-8 champion, currently the defending world figure-8 champion, cuts through the intersection, just barely avoids cars as he goes on through. Lee has the lead. Mike St. John is running in second place. Rodney Seismore is in third. Jack Dossey Jr. is in fourth place, but Dossey, after that situation where he got trapped in the intersection by the slower traffic, is now 1 lap down and is trying to get the lap back. Dwayne Lee comes out of the second turn to the intersection. There's a bumper loose. Dwayne Lee tore that bumper off of the other car. It came off of Steve Frost, number 71, Frost about 40th of the alternates list. Dwayne Lee comes to the intersection, trying to find a gap to the intersection, tears that bumper off of Frost's car. That bumper wasn't just stuck there, it was welded on. It's a big piece of steel. Dwayne Lee almost cut it too close.
Dwayne Lee says, "Get out of my way, boys. I'm leading this thing, and I don't want you to slow me down." And certainly that bumper didn't do it. We've got a bit of a log jam up there in turn 3, but the action continues in 1.
And here's Dwayne Lee up in front. Then you see Bob Stoots, number 54, and then the number 1 of Jack Dossey Jr. Dossey is racing to try to get his lap back in intensely heavy traffic. We're about 2/3 of the way through this World Championship event here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. There's Dossey trying to get to the inside of Dwayne Lee through heavy traffic, going into the third turn, taking Dwayne Lee a little high as they go around the Jack Smith number 17, and Jack Dossey Jr. gets his lap back for the time being.
Hard to say at this point, but it certainly would appear that Jack Dossey Jr. has the stronger of the 2 cars. Dossey, when he is in the clear, is able to clearly accelerate better, it would appear, than most of the other competitors. And when it comes to side-by-side racing, he is the fastest of the cars out there on the track.
But there's more than side-by-side racing in this contest. There's also the ability to get through the crossover, and as we have seen, that lap traffic that constantly runs 2 and 3 abreast directly ahead of you, running into each other at the intersection, that is also a major factor. And Dossey has been able to play that most of the time, but he lost a lap as a result of it, and now is battling to get that lap back. Here's a race for position number 2. That's the number 4R, Rodney Seismore, just ahead of the number 5 of Mike St. John. Those drivers only a few lanes apart. Again, they are racing each other, and they're battling the traffic as they try to stay through there. 4 abreast, and the number 4 of Rich Fenwick, one of the top qualifiers who's had several spins and straights, almost took out the drivers that were running for second place.
You mentioned Mike St. John just a couple of minutes ago, Kevin. Mike St. John, the three-time world champion here, as he runs in third place. But right now, everyone chasing the one car of Jack Dossey Jr.
And there's Lee and St. John almost having a meeting at Vines the intersection. First and third place cars almost took each other out of the crossover as Dwayne Lee looks for a gap. And there's the battle for second once again. Going about several cars, you notice that there's some water or oil on the racetrack. No caution. That's just part of the way things go, as is that quick fit there with Jerry Vanderhoof and Dave Lambert. Those drivers get out of each other's way. And here comes the number one of Jack Dossey Jr., who has managed to get a lap back.
Certainly the ability to adapt to the changing track conditions, a key for whoever is leading this race or for whoever is on the track during the race. And as you can see, as you just mentioned, you can see that there is some sort of fluid, whether it be oil or water there, between turns 3 and 4, and that certainly has got to make that precarious through there as we watch Dwayne Lee, now the leader, make his way through the intersection.
Oh no, Dwayne Lee got into another car. He hit Charles Graham's number 38, and the metalwork on Graham's car put Dwayne Lee's tire down. There he is trying to go to one side. He thinks he's got a gap. He has to cut to the other direction, and that cut down Dwayne Lee's left front tire. That forces the leader of the race back to the pits to change that tire. The car wasn't hurt that bad, but losing those laps will take Dwayne Lee out of the lead and put Mike St. John into first place.
Dwayne Lee, the defending champion of this race, but as you said, he'll have to head back to the pits to repair that cut tire. And so, as we said, a tough break for Dwayne Lee.
And so we've got Mike St. John leading at the number 5. The number 1 of Dossey moves past Dwayne Lee, who lost 2 laps as a result of making that stop. Also, our track officials indicate the black flag went out for the number 4R of Rodney Seismore, so he has also lost laps as well. Rodney had been up in that lead pack, but now he finds himself some distance back after the black flag. There's Mike St. John in intensely heavy traffic. How can he get through there when it's 4 or 5 abreast? And here comes Dossey trying to challenge for the lead.
Kevin, at this point, fatigue, I would imagine, has got to be a factor in a 3-hour endurance race we've seen. Oh, we've got a big collision there.
Rodney Seismore just came back onto the racetrack, got hit by the number 31 of Larry McIntyre in that crash that's taken out several cars. There's still 3 machines that are stuck there. Lambert's machine, Brandenburg's number 45, and then the number 69 of Jerry Cassidy are still there as the Lambert car tries to power out of that mess and can't go. Actually, 2 or 3 accidents directly ahead of Jack Dossey Jr. and Mike St. John. They split to each side to try to get through this mess over in turn number 2 as the car of Sizemore gets knocked out of the way. Notice that Dossey is making an extra loop down to the inside. You've got to go above that marker tire to be scored for the lap.
It's getting to be crunch time, if you will, here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. We are at the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. Much more action comes your way when we come back. Stay with us. Back at the Speedrome in Indianapolis, Indiana, the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. Mike St. John, you see him coming back on the track. Kevin O'Neill from the pits. He had led this race just a few minutes ago, but some problems forced him in, and he is now a lap down.
St. John's car was smoking during that green flag segment. He went into the pit area. The crew checked it out. There was a fender rubbing on a tire. They rolled the fender away from the tire. The car is okay, but he lost 1 lap as a result as they come back to green. Jack Dossey Jr. now at about 3/4 of the way through the race. For the first time through this endurance contest, he finds himself on a lap to himself. He's got the entire field 1 lap down. But Mike St. John at the number 5 is now in hot pursuit, trying to get a lap back from Dossey. St. John, the 3-time world champion, is trying to get that lap back. Also, Dwayne Lee, the defending champion at number 3, is trying to get a couple of laps back. But Dossey is on his tail as Dossey leads. He does not want to let Dwayne Lee get anywhere close to getting a lap back.
Don't think it's been easy for Jack Dossey Jr. He has been spun out at least 3 times in this event, but has managed to find his way back to the front each and every time. And as you said right now, Kevin, he seems to be in control.
but we have seen so many times in automobile racing where a lap lead, a 2-lap lead can diminish. And in this World Championship, where you have to stay constantly in the move, where every other car on the racetrack is a potential threat, you've got to be quick and you've got to be good and lucky. Mike St. John trying to get the lap down, passes several cars, now comes into the third corner. There are two machines in front of him that almost run into each other. St. John dives way down to the inside beneath that center marker tire. That's a legal move. Mike St. John makes it all the time as he comes around Ray Gaddis, almost bumps Gaddis going into the first turn. St. John still in pursuit of getting his lap back.
St. John, the three-time world champion, as you said, in pursuit of that man, Jack Dossey Jr., who is the leader, but St. John seemingly running very well through the pack now, trying to make up room.
An interesting comeback story for Mike St. John. 1 week before this contest, Mike St. John was involved in a hard figure-8 crash over the Louisville Speedway, destroyed the car he hoped to run in this contest. St. John and the crew got another machine that built it up for this contest, and Dossey got lucky. 3 cars collide. One of them, the number 24 of Brown, there's the number 80 of Clance, who's been involved in several wrecks, and Jerry Cassidy in it as well, and they almost took out the leader, Dossey. Again, Dossey was already planning to go to the outside when that collision happened, and he missed disaster by 1 foot or less.
So give Jack Dossey Jr. a check in the luck column. He still leads this event. We'll be back to the Indianapolis Speedrome with more of the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race right after this. Come back, won't you? Back at the 17th Annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. We're at the Speedrome in Indianapolis, and that man in car number 1, Jack Dossey Jr. from right here in Indianapolis, the number 1 qualifier and the number 1 man at this point. Kevin O'Neill, he is our leader.
And he has a 1-lap advantage over Mike St. John. St. John, the former champion, is trying to catch up to him as well. But again, there's lots of traffic and any number of things that can happen here in the closing laps of this wild and woolly World Championship of Figure-8 racing. Dossey is a remarkably versatile driver. A few years ago at the Indianapolis Speedrome, in another race that was carried by ESPN under USAC sanction, he won a 50-lap midget championship race. And he managed to avoid things like this. 5 cars have run into each other in turn number 4. That's Frank Norman, one of the last of the alternates, the number 51, and trying to get out of each other's way. You've got Rodney Seismore, who is one of the leaders. He's been in a number of problems. There's Gary Bedell, the rookie, getting out of the way, and several other machines. And Mike St. John almost got caught up in this one. He was in front of this mess that apparently started when the number 51 of Frank Norman and Rodney Seismore got together, and going into there, Gary Bedell, there's Dale Canalsa's car, Dave Bazzi in the middle of this mess. They're managing to get out of each other's way as we come back to green.
Dossey once again manages to avoid the collision, and take a look at that race car. It is a beautiful car. Hard to believe at this point in a 3-hour Figure-8 endurance event that the car looks that good, but it looks like he's just driven it right out of the body shop. It is absolutely gorgeous, and he hopes it stays that way until the end.
And he almost got it bent up there by Mike St. John, the driver of the number 5, trying to get his lap back, battling with Dossey. They are running nose to tail, but again, they are on separate laps. And St. John now gets the lap back to the inside of Dossey. Perhaps Dossey didn't want that beautiful Ron Tomasic designed car to get messed up. But again, there's always the possibility, one more yellow, one more slip, and Mike St. John is right on Dossey's tail. So Dossey will undoubtedly battle to try to get that lap back from Mike St. John as they charge through turns number 1 and 2.
St. John, the 3-time world champion from here in Indianapolis, as he looks to make up room on the leader, Jack Dossey. As you said, Dossey's going to have to watch out now because a single spin puts St. John right back in his rear end.
There's the number 4R of Rodney Seismore. He can tell you about hard luck. Remember, Rodney led this race for a while, and so did Dwayne Lee in the number 3. And single collisions took them off the track. Dwayne Lee is about 3 or 5 laps down, running at the same pace of the leaders, and same situation with the number 6 of Bill Tunny Jr., who had 1 crash too many and has fallen out of the lead pack.
Kevin, is it possible for Dossey to play it safe at any point in this race and try to allow the race to, I guess, continue on without him in the heat of the battle?
There are some people in racing that say that if you slow down, you actually hurt yourself. Certainly that's not the case here. Dossey 1 length behind Mike St. John as they come through the intersection. Dossey trying to keep St. John in his sights or once again put him 1 more lap down. Again, the entire racetrack is in play and there's trouble. Randy Cronenwet, the guy, the number 52 from Michigan who had trouble earlier in the race in a crash with the number 83 of Country Brown. They get out of the way. We stay under green, and Dossey continues to pursue St. John. St. John there clipped by the number 10 of Gary Bedell, was in that turn 4 crash just a couple of seconds ago. Dossey has the lead, and there's Mike St. John trying to go through there. Big trouble as the number 57 of Tim Wagner out of the Louisville area ran all over Doug Gregg going through the intersection as they collided with Cronenwet, who was in that earlier crash. But again, if they can keep on rolling, it stays green, and they'll pick up the pace.
Some spectacular airtime for Tom Wagner from Louisville, Kentucky. But as you said, he continues on. It apparently seems that he is unscathed.
But over those last couple of laps, Mike St. John has managed to pull away from Dossey. Dossey is caught in traffic there with the Michigan champion Bob Stute, Country Brown, who's still running just ahead of the number 31 of Larry McIntyre. Dossey keeps the pace, but there you can see St. John in the heavy traffic is about 1 straightaway ahead of Dossey, but that means that Dossey has a 3/4 of a lap advantage over St. John in the closing minutes of the World Championship.
An amazing crowd on hand here at the Indianapolis Speedrome for the 17th annual running of the World Championship Figure-8 event. Hard to estimate how many people are here, but certainly, Kevin, the stands are packed.
They put in more stands than ever before for this World Championship event, and every one of those seats are filled. It's a standing room-only crowd watching Mike St. John at the number 5 trying to close up on Dossey and win his 4th championship. Randy Cronenwet went into the wall. He got helped out of the way by somebody. Still racing out there even though they're no longer on the lead lap, or some of the guys are up in front. But again, Dossey has the advantage.
Time is running out for the 3-time world champion Mike St. John to track down Jack Dossey Jr. More when we come back. The laps are winding down as we get ready to see the checkers in the 17th annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race here at the Indianapolis Speedrome, and Jack Dossey Jr., Kevin O'Neill, has been the man to beat tonight.
Dossey has been a constant at the front of the field. His advantage as we close down this race with less than 1 minute to go out of 180 minutes competition is 10.9 seconds, a massive gap. Other than the lap lead that Dossey had, the largest advantage that anybody has had throughout this race.
Certainly, though, Dossey cannot relax with the traffic he continues to encounter. He'll make his way through as he makes his way through the intersection one more time. And Jack Dossey Jr. now just holding on, waiting to see the checkered flag. And you know he's got to be counting down the final seconds, Kevin, to see that checkered flag and know that he has won this event.
Only a couple of turns left now for Dossey as the 3 hours have been completed. Now it's time for the flagman to bring this one to an end.
There's the checkered flag for Jack Dossey Jr., and he's going to spin it out as he takes the checkers and wins the 17th annual running of the World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race. This guy really deserves a round of applause because he certainly ran a very, very smart race, Kevin.
As the fighter pilots of World War II took victory rolls, Jack Dossey Jr. takes a victory spin after defeating Mike St. John by 12.8 seconds over 3 hours of Figure-8 competition. Lots of spins, lots of bumps, but lots of glory for Jack Dossey Jr. as he celebrates the biggest win in his career.
And he'll take the victory lap in front of the standing room-only crowd here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. Jack Dossey, your winner. Mike St. John finishes second, followed by Dwayne Lee, Rodney Seismore, and Rich Fenwick. Bob Stunt was sixth. Gary Bedell finishes seventh, then Jerry Brown, Bill Tunny Jr., and Doug Creed.
Ronnie Clance persevered through the crashes to finish at 11th ahead of Tom Wagner, Dangerous Danny Turner, veteran Larry McIntyre, and Scott Martin.
Your lap leaders, Jack Dossey Jr. led 13 times, 204 laps. Bill Tunny led 74 laps. Dwayne Lee led 32 circuits. Rodney Seismore 4 times for 31 laps. Fred Bear Jr., he led 3 times for 8 laps. And the 4T of Bruce Tunny, he led 1 time, 5 laps.
Jack Dossey Jr., after tremendous efforts this year at the Indianapolis Speedrome, has the chance to celebrate his biggest victory ever. The purse goes home to the driver that's the two-time Speedrome champion, winner on the General Tire Figure-8 Challenge, and now the World Figure-8 champion.
The Sonny Eaton Memorial Award goes to Gary Vidal, the rookie of the race, who finished 7th. The Sonny Thompson Memorial, the most improved position. Frank Norman started 83rd, finished 40th. The Hammer Award, best finish by an alternate, Tom Wagner. The Hard Luck Award, first man out, Darren Sizemore. The Fast Qualifier, the man who won the race in car number 1, Jack Dossey Jr., who set a new track record at 16.716 and also takes home the big trophy. Jack Dossey Jr. puts a new twist on the term spin and win as he takes the checkers to capture the 17th annual World Championship Figure-8 3-hour endurance race at the Indianapolis Speedrome. For Kevin O'Neill, I'm Mike King, saying so long from Indianapolis.